go through all the iterations in your mind of why that will fail before you get to market, then you can do it without burning any precious capital. Yeah. And the better you can build it. And so when you come up with an idea where your 10 first customers and everybody that you talk to about it can't find a fault with it, then go out and raise capital because you have a zombie idea, an idea that can't be killed. So in today, what I'm going to do is not be and treat you like a VC, because what a VC, any venture capitalist will do, whatever your idea is, they're going to say, wow, that's a really good idea, but I couldn't convince my partners. And they tell you that, so you'll come back with the next idea, hopefully a better one. No venture capitalist usually sits there and says, that was really stupid, please get out of my building. So I'll let you know what's going on inside their heads. I've raised hundreds of millions of dollars for startups. I've taken companies public. I've done this many, many times. But we're living in this era of endless innovation where so many new things are out there, 3D printing and social media, and 6 billion people will click away on a phone, that you may have something that you think, wow, was so obvious, but nobody pursued it. So who's up first?
For them to go left and the other guy to go right, there'd be no more traffic. That was the genesis of Waze. And people go, well, wait a second, that takes tons of engineering, da-da-da. How many lines of code in his entire life did Steve Jobs ever write? The answer is 0. Steve wasn't an engineer. I put the first video on a computer. I launched the first online auction. I built e-commerce sites and technology used by billions of people every day. I'm not an engineer either. You can hire people with the skills and talents that you don't have. The only 2 things you need to succeed are insight and perseverance. It's that simple. So disruption is about changing something that cannot be changed back. And I'll give you some examples of how fast our world is changing. And you either get run over by this change or you'll benefit from it. 3D printing will eliminate 320 million manufacturing jobs in the next 5 years. For those in the U.S., the #1 job in the U.S. by numbers is truck driver. Self-driving isn't just about cars. Self-driving is about 18-wheelers, okay? Tens of millions of truck drivers are about to lose their jobs. Office automation will cull the ranks of middle management in half. And for those people that go, oh, I am a financial planner, I have an MBA, I'm a tax specialist, I'm in the advice industry, I'm highly trained with lots of knowledge, artificial intelligence will normalize that out of existence. So whether by choice or circumstance, every career is about to be disrupted. And we're changing at a pace faster than has ever existed. But that also means opportunities faster. That phone in your pocket, you are 1 click away from 6 billion people. You only have to be right for a nanosecond.
It's coming. But the flip side is there's huge opportunity. So my talk tomorrow is, augmented reality, job killer or economic savior. And so disruption, for anybody to get one thing out of this talk or one thing out of Disrupt You, the book, disruption isn't about what happens to you. It's about how you respond to what happens to you. You always have a choice, and so you can make those choices. So in 3D printing, we now get to a customized world, a bespoke world, and anybody that isn't setting up their supply chain to be digital, to respond to those demands, to allow people to have input into the products they want, will be cannon fodder. What I took out of that was I'm now in the midway through doing my version of Pygmalion, okay? I found a couch surfing millennial, and I said, I'm going to, easy to find if you have a couch. He knew no one in Los Angeles where I live, and I said, I will mentor you for 1 year. I won't open up the Rolodex. I'm not cheating. And the most, he's a high school dropout, didn't go to college, normal life. But he showed perseverance. And I'll mentor you for a year and take you from couch surfing to self-made millionaire. And most he ever had earned was $35,000 a year. And I'm not selling get rich quick, and I don't sell seminars. This isn't a pitch to where I'm sitting on the Lamborghini. This is just, I wanted to show that it could be done, okay? And the first month, not to kill the whole book in advance, but it walks you through how to do it. First month he did $70,000, and he could fly coast to coast without a plane. I mean, he was like, he didn't believe it was possible. Second month, 83. Third month, he broke the 100 grand. And he keeps on going. And it's a dialogue, because I'm now learning how today's world exactly is, so I can take the disrupt you method and really zero in on any opportunity. It's where you see the big successful, because when you're doing those iterations, each version of your product is happening between your 2 ears. You're not burning through capital. If you go and raise a bunch of money on your idea and then start doing this, you're burning through all that capital, and one of two things happen. One, you run out of money and bye-bye, okay? Two is actually more painful. There's a lot of people that keep on funding you, so by the time your idea is a home run, you own 3% of your own company, okay? I mean, I've started companies where, we've sold them for $600 million, sold them for billions.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
We're living in a time now where there'll be 2.3 billion millennials. That is more people in the millennial generation than were on this planet when my parents were born. There are not jobs for all these people. The number one thing that will destabilize a country or a world is massive unemployment.
Looking at things differently. Most of 70% of the world's billionaires today are self-made. They didn't inherit it, they didn't go to the right schools, and they have the same 24 hours in the day that you and I do. So what are they doing differently? How are they thinking differently? How are they thinking bigger? And everybody wants to change the world, but it really starts with changing yourself. And the second you can overcome what's limiting you, a lifetime of everybody told you what you couldn't do, and you have to go find 10 people that would benefit from this, not relatives, not friends, 10 people in whatever the sector is that you're trying to fix, okay? In crowdfunding, we went to the biggest developers. They constantly develop. They're going to still develop. But if I can get their cash quicker, would they become a customer? Yeah, I'll talk to you, nerd boy. What do you want to know? So go with your idea to these people and have them kill it. And they will tell you why you suck, why it's stupid, why it's the worst idea. And you're going to go home every day and be glad that they did. You know why? Because you're iterating and changing and improving your idea without spending any money, because it's all mental. When you get that idea to what I call a zombie idea, an idea that can't be killed, you can't find anybody that can sink your ship. Then you put it on a little piece of paper, and you can go out and get crowdfunding to fund it. You can go to VCs to fund it. You can go to friends and family. You can go to people in the industry, okay? Fast food didn't exist, okay? And McDonald, Ray Kroc, he wasn't the McDonald brothers. He saw this hamburger thing, and nobody understood this idea of fast food, okay? He saw it before everybody else. How are you going to go out, and this is, half a century ago, how are you going to go out and raise money? He went to meat wholesalers. He said, if this works, da-da-da. Then there was a kid who wrote a business plan in school. He didn't even get the top grade for it, that you could ship packages through hubs as opposed to point. All packages used to go, if you have a package from New York to Florida, it would go New York to Florida. If you had one from New York to LA, go New York to LA. It's really expensive, and how is anybody going to notice me compared to the giant, Microsoft booth or the giant Samsung booth or whatever? When I was a little old guy with, 10 employees and launching my stuff, I looked at that same thing and I said, let me solve the problem. And the problem is no one is going to walk to the farthest ends of Earth to see my little 10 by 10 booth when somebody's got a self-driving car and a robot that juggles and everything else. But all those big companies don't have ideas, they have a new product. So if I can show how my product can be demoed on their stuff, okay? So my company, for its first years, you could only find us in the Microsoft booth or the IBM booth or the Apple booth. So the most expensive real estate at the most expensive trade shows was given to us for free.
Interesting.
So that's called OPM, other people's money, and it works for every type of business. Find a business that is a problem and then triangulate how you can solve it, right? When I have money, I'll be happy. Life is the adventure. We all hear that. Success doesn't make you happy. Happiness makes you successful.
Yeah.
Start with that positive attitude. When you're in that negative funk, oh my God, the bills, the world, everything sucks, you won't get a good idea. It's impossible. That person that's always in that funk shuts down emotionally, intellectually. So if you start with the positive thinking, and I talk about Jim Carrey, I don't know if you got to that part in the book. He did what's called effectuation. He wrote a check to himself.
Yeah, the $10 million one, right?
He put a date on it. So all of us have dreams. The second you put a date on a dream, it's a goal. Okay?
And you don't have to know all the steps to get there, but you can use the steps to work backwards. So
for the entrepreneurs out there, here's what's missing in the market. Like if I could launch 50 businesses, let's have, so somebody will have a 3D printer that does metal, and somebody will have one that does plastic and wood and all these different things. But nobody's built the eBay, the community, where you can go and get all the pieces together.
Yeah.
Where, oh, I just made this cool model, and so I took my kid to the movie, and now I can print Lego.
So an eBay for 3D printing.
Yeah, so you can either put up your things for free, or you can sell them or whatever, and be a clearinghouse, because everybody doesn't need to own the means of production. Right. Virtual reality is you're locked away and you're in some other world. Augmented means that you're adding something to your present environment. So the simplest one is when you watch a football game, that first yard line, that yellow line, it's not really there.
It's not there.
That's how they could paint it invisibly and move it, right? So we're used to things not being there that add to us. Today, when you use a car driving system, you're looking down at the map, and then you look at the road and you look at the map. Not very safe. Your heads-up display, much like a fighter pilot, the road will turn green and just follow the green stripe.
So AR's been around for a long time. We've seen it in basic use.
Yeah, so here's the two big things that are driving it from, you know, the Haunted Mansion to what we have nowadays. Number one, AI and machine learning behind the scenes. So the whole environment will conspire to bring you knowledge when you need it.
So what do disruptive companies have in common?
In empowering people to be allowed to make a mistake. So I'll give everybody the two tips that I've been using for 20 years in running my businesses. Anybody that reports to me, I tell them two things on day one. First, you don't work for me, I work for you. Your job is to tell me what you need to be successful. My job is to give it to you and get out of your way. So it's not micromanaging, it's not telling people, hire the best people, the brightest minds, you should be the dumbest person in every room.
And typically, I'm not trying to make a joke, but we're not the smartest people in the room. I used to say that about the C-suite, that the smartest people in the room. I think it's the role of the C-suite to be the most strategic people in the room.
Well, and be open. I mean, you know, Steve Jobs never wrote a line of code. You know, people think he was a technologist. Perfect example. The second rule is, if you work for me for a year and you do not make a mistake, I will fire you. Because it means that you're not willing to push the boundaries.
Not causing enough tension.
Oh, okay. So you get to learn a word today, SOLOMO. Social, local, and mobile. If those three components aren't in what you're doing, and I don't care what business you're in, you're making huge mistakes. So the first is social. Social is a 24/7 live dialogue with your customers, your employees, your brand.
Your community. It's everything.
And if you're not out there as a leader and they don't know what you're doing, where you're doing. So I have some people that go, Jay, why are you on Twitter? You're supposed to be running a company. I go, yes, that's why I'm on Twitter. Okay? People know what we're doing, know where we're going. You know, you're getting to narrate what you want to, you know. Oh, we had a horrible board meeting. They just said no. Local is, we're now able to reach everywhere, which is intimidating. So find a local market. And that doesn't necessarily have to be geographically. It could be demographically. You know, make it work there, and then you'll find endless resources. You know, that's what, when everybody goes, how do these private unicorns, these startups that get hundreds of millions of dollars in funding and have never made a profit? Because they proved it here and said, if you give me this, I can scale it to there. And it's rinse and repeat. And then mobile,
it's everything.
We have a CNN broadcasting system in our pocket, okay? You're one click away from 6 billion people. You only have to be right for a nanosecond. Just once. And your great-grandchildren won't have to work for a living. I mean, it's an amazingly powerful combination. They all give you constant data so you can tack and figure out what your solution is.
Do you have any idea?